Hey guys, it's Matt with BleepinJeep.com. Today we're going to do a little XJ Cherokee overview. But first, check out my website, BleepinJeep.com. It's got all the best off-road videos of YouTube all in one spot, none of the boring stuff. And don't forget to check out my Facebook page, facebook.com/BleepinJeep, and subscribe to my channel. I'll leave a link right here if I get around to it. Alright, so this right here, when I was looking for my most recent Cherokee, I made a list of all of the things that, all of the different years and different things that Cherokees had. And basically I've transcribed this to here, and we're just going to go over it real quick because I get a lot of questions about the differences between Cherokees and which one's good and which one's bad. So, this first section here, Cherokee was built for 17 years. There were about 3 million of them made, and that equals cheap. There's a lot of Cherokees out there. They're all pretty much the same. A lot of parts will interchange, and what that does is make it cheap because there's so many out there. You can just go swap parts from the junkyard, and since they didn't change the model up every year, that's a pretty cool thing. Alright, it's a unibody, which means it's lightweight, which is a good thing for crawling. It's got coils up front, which means it's got a lot of flex, and leaves in the rear, which means stability. So I think that means it's got the best of both worlds. Coils up front gives it long travel in the front, especially when you have a long arm up front, which means a lot of flex, and the leaves in the rear give it stability. When you have coils front and rear, they tend to be very unstable, like a TJ. Alright, so this next section is the years. The Cherokee, we're talking about the compact Cherokee here, not the full size. The Cherokee was introduced in '84, and from '84 to '86 were bad years. It had a V6, a lot of them did, no horsepower, and all that equals a no-no. I would never buy a Cherokee from '84 to '86. Alright, then they moved on in '87 to the '90, and these were called the Renix years. They're the least computery of all the Cherokees, and they had many sensors though, which means that it's a little bit harder to diagnose. If you just like to pull up to the parts store and say plug it into the computer and tell me what codes they're pulling, then you probably don't want to get an '87 to '90 because the computer, there's only one computer scanner, I think, that can plug into there, and they're pretty hard to find. If you like the manuals, then the AX15 replaced the Puget in mid-'89, and you definitely don't want a Puget. You want to get the AX15 if you can. Alright, so in '91 to '96, the Renix disappeared. The Cherokee got a better flowing head. It got a 27 spline 8 1/4 axle, was introduced on these years. A 23 spline output tranny was introduced, which makes it for an easy Atlas swap if you're into that. In '95, it got the airbag. I personally don't want an airbag while I'm off-roading, so that's a no-no for me. And in '96, the OBD2 came out, which means the computer just controls a lot more, and it's harder to diagnose. It's easier to diagnose, but it's harder to swap components around because they won't interchange with some of the computer parts from the earlier Cherokees. Alright, then in '97 to '01, they made a complete overhaul of the Cherokee. A lot of the body lines got curvier, and there's a lot of differences. I'm sure you're pretty familiar with that. But for one thing, it got a bigger 760X U-joints for the front axle shafts. It got a bigger 29 spline axle shafts in the rear, 8 1/4. The AW4 got new output shaft sensor, and that means there's no easy swap for earlier trannies. So if you got a later model Cherokee, then it's hard to put an earlier Cherokee tranny in there, transmission. In '97, the wiring is said to be a mess, so because that's the first year they didn't quite have everything figured out as far as wiring, so try and stay away from that if you're looking. In '99, there's been a lot of problems with heads cracking Some people say that's not a problem. That's only a problem for people who drive crazy and that kind of thing, but I'm not sure. In 2000, they came out with the coil unplug, which I don't really like newer engines with all these computer and electronics and no distributors. Kind of weird. And in 01, they came out with the low pinion front axle, which is also a no-no. So I'm not saying that you should stay away from anything or purchase anything here. I'm just laying out the rules here. So that's everything. I decided to go with the earlier year all the way up to a 95 because I didn't want the airbag, and I ended up with a 1990, which is fine with me. Oh, one more thing before we go, or maybe two. No matter which Cherokee you have or which Cherokee you're looking for, these things right here in the middle equal good. 4.0 straight 6, that's always a plus. Non-C-clip axles, very good. High pinion axles, definitely a must. AW4 auto or the AX15 if you like the manual. Those are the best transmissions. And I prefer the NP231 transfer case just because there's a lot more aftermarket components for them. Alright guys, before I go, this is just a small list of the differences between the Cherokees. There's a lot more differences and things that I haven't even mentioned here. I haven't even scratched the surface on a lot of the things, but this is just what I was concerned about whenever I went to go looking for a Cherokee. And maybe we'll make another video in the future of some of the other differences, but these are just the main points that I wanted to make. Alright guys, I hope you learned something today. Please check out my website, once again, BleepinJeep.com. It's got all the best off-road videos on the internet, none of the boring stuff. Don't forget my Facebook page, facebook.com/BleepinJeep, and please subscribe. Leave your comments and questions below, and we'll see you next time.